So, good day, ma'am, and good day, everyone. So, we're the group 7. Our topic is all about the Asian art history. The history of Asian art includes a vast range of art from various cultures, regions, and religions across the continent of Asia. The major regions of Asia include Central, East, South, Southeast, and West Asia. And these are the contents of the history of art. Okay, let's start. So, I'll introduce myself. My name is Criza Meb Serrano from BSHM 2C. So, first, the Pakistani art. Pakistani art has a long tradition and history. It consists of a variety of art forms, including paintings, sculptures, calligraphy, pottery, and textile art such as woven silk. Geographically, it is a part of Indian subcontinent art, including what is now Pakistan. So, the example is the painting. Pakistan was created in 1947 when the Indian subcontinent was partitioned or divided as part of the British withdrawal of colonial rule. After independence, young artists began to look to the West rather than to India for inspiration. They turned away from the traditional art styles and looked for inspiration among there. Second is the calligraphy. The Quran is written in Arabic, and the language flowing script is not just a way of writing, but also a form of art. Calligraphy grew in part because of religious restrictions on representational art and Muslims' love of Arabics. The flowing repetition of multiplying and interlaced patterns, which represents that the infinite, when created in calligraphy, a simple word or proverb can become an intricate, abstract design so complex as to be almost unreadable. So next, the Buddhist art. So these pictures is the mandala of Chandra, god of the moon. Mandala of Chandra, god of the moon, late 14th, early to 15th century. The center of this mandala depicts the moon god Chandra flanked by two female archers who shoot arrows of light to drive away the darkness. The Buddhist art originated in the India subcontinent in the centuries following the life of the historical Gautama Buddha in the 6th to 5th century BCE, before evolving through its contact with other cultures and its diffusions through the rest of Asia and the world. Buddhist art traveled with believers as the Dharma spread, adapted, and evolved in each new host country. It developed to the north through Central Asia and into East Asia to form the northern branch of Buddhist art, and the east as far as Southeast Asia to form the southern branch of Buddhist art. In India, Buddhist art flourished and even influenced the development of Hindu art until Buddhists nearly disappeared in India around the 10th century CE, due in part to the vigorous expansion of Islam alongside Hindu. And the common visual device in Buddhism art is the mandala. From a viewer's perspective, it represents schematically the ideal universe in various spiritual traditions. Mandalas may be employed for focusing the attention of aspirants and adepts, a spiritual teaching tool for establishing a sacred space, and as an aid to meditation and trance inductions. Its symbolic nature can help one to access progressive, deeper levels of the unconscious, ultimately assisting the meditator to experience mythical sense of oneness with the ultimate unity from which the cosmos in all its manifold form arises. The the psychoanalyst Carl Jung saw the mandala as a presentation of the center of the unconscious self and believed his painting of mandalas enabled him to identify emotional disorders and work toward wholeness personally. Next is the botanist art. This image is the first picture is the botanist Tangka of Mount Meru and the Buddhist universe in 19th century, Trongsa Jong Trongsa, Bhutan. And the second picture is painted botanist medicine Buddha mandala with the goddess Prajnaparamita in center, 19th century Ruby Museum of Art. Bhutanese art is similar to art of Tibet. Both are based upon Vajrayana Buddhism with its pantheon of divine beings. Bhutanese art is particularly rich in bronzes of different kinds that are collectively known by the name Kamso, made in Kam, even though they are made of Bhutan because the technique of making them was originally imported from the eastern province of Tibet called Kam. Wall painting and sculptures in the regions are formulated on the principles, ageless ideals of Buddhism art forms, even though their emphasis on details is derived from Tibetan models. Their origins can be discerned easily despite the profusely embroidered garments and glittery ornaments with which these figures are lavishly covered. In the grotesque world of demons, the artist apparently had greater freedom of action than when modeling images of divine being. Each divine being assigns special shapes, colors, and or identify objects such as lotus, conch shell, thunderbolt, and begging bowl. All sacred images are made the exact specification that have remained remarkable unchanged for centuries. Next is the Indian art. The first image is the balustrade holding Yaksha, Madhya Pradesh, India, Shunga period 2nd and 1st century BCE. The natural world. Over time, they were worshipped as minor gods in both the Buddhist and Hindu pantheons, often functioning as protectors of the earth's riches, and they become associated with wealth. This pot-bellied dwarf once raised his arms to support a ball on his head, which identify him as a carrier, or Bharavahaka Yaksha. The closest stylistic parallels to this form are seen on pillar capitals at the Great Early Buddhist stupa, a mound-like structure designed to hold objects of veneration of Sanchi near Bhopal. In all probability, this yaksha served as an attendant at a stupa and entrust its bowl used to receive devotees' donations. The second picture is the fresco from Ajanta Caves. The Ajanta Caves in Maharashtra, India have among the most beautiful fresco painting in the world. They depict scenes from the Jataka tales, which have stories of previous lives of the Buddha. Especially interesting are painting of the Avalokiteshvara, Padmapani, and the Vajrapani in cave number 1. So, the India art can be classified into specific periods, each reflecting certain religious, political, and cultural developments. The earliest examples are the petroglyphs, such as those found in Bhimbetka, some of them dating to before 5500 BC. The production of such work continued for several millenniums. The art of the Indus Valley civilizations followed. Later examples include the carved pillars of Ellora, Maharashtra state. The example are the frescoes of Ajanta and Ellora caves. And also one of the most popular art forms in India is called Rangoli. It is a form of sun painting decoration that uses finely ground white powder and colors and is used commonly outside homes in India. The visual arts, sculpture, painting, architecture are tightly interrelated with the non-visual arts. According to Kapila Vatsyayana, classical Indian architecture, sculpture, painting, literature, Kavya, music and dancing involve their own rules conditions by their respective media, but they shared with one another not only the underlying spiritual beliefs of the Indian religio-philosophic mind, but also the procedures by which the relationship of the symbol and the spiritual states were worked out in details. Insight in the unique qualities of Indian art is best achieved through an understanding of the philosophical thought, the broad cultural history, social, religious, and political background of the artwork. Next, the Cambodia art. Cambodia art and the culture of Cambodia has had a rich and varied history dating back many centuries and has been heavily influenced by India. In turn, Cambodia greatly influenced Thailand, Laos, and vice versa. Throughout Cambodia's long history, a major source of inspiration was from religion. Throughout nearly 2 millennia, Cambodians developed a unique Khmer belief from the syncretism of indigenous animistic beliefs and the Indian religions of Buddhism and Hinduism. Indian culture and civilization, including its language and arts, reached mainland Southeast Asia around the 1st century CE. It is generally believed that seafaring merchants brought Indian custom and culture to ports along the Gulf of Thailand and the Pacific while trading with China. So next is the visual art of Cambodia. These pictures, the stone bas-relief at Bayon Temple depicting the Khmer army of war with the Cham. Our bas-relief of Hindu narratives, there are 1,200 square meters of carved has believed at Angkor Wat, representing 8 different Hindu stories. The history of visual art of Cambodia stretches back century to ancient craft. Khmer art reached its peak during the Angkor period. Traditions Cambodia's art and craft include textiles, non-textiles weaving, silversmithing, stone carving, lacquerware, ceramics, sweat murals, and kite making. Beginning in the mid-20th century, a tradition of modern art began in Cambodia, though in the later 20th century, both tradition and modern art declined for several reasons, including the killing of artists by Khmer Rouge. The country has experienced a recent artistic revival due to increased support from governments, NGOs, and foreign